Welcome to the deep dive. Getting to an advanced level in English, that's a big deal, a real milestone.
It really is.
You've likely got the grammar mostly sorted, your vocabulary's pretty strong, but there's still this feeling sometimes, isn't there? That knowing English and living it, they feel like different things.
Definitely.
So today, that's exactly what we want to dig into with you. Our whole goal here is to figure out how you can take that great foundation you've built and really properly weave English into your daily life.
Yeah, to get that extra fluency, that real confidence.
Exactly.
And to help us navigate this, we're diving into a really solid resource. It's called Real Life Practice Techniques and Resources for Advanced English Learners.
Okay.
And this isn't just, surface level stuff. It feels like a really well thought out guide. It's got effective strategies, actual practical exercises, even tips on the best tools out there. And it's all aimed specifically at learners like you at that advanced stage.
Right. And the core idea, the thing this resource really hammers home is this concept of real life English practice. Now, this isn't about, banging your head against more grammar drills or memorizing crazy long lists of words.
Right, definitely not.
It's more fundamental. It's about shifting how you think, using English in ways that actually mirror how native speakers use it, day to day.
Getting beyond the textbook.
Totally. Thinking outside that box, using it authentically, interactively, contextually.
Unscripted, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ultimately functionally. So, ready to really get into it, see how you can start living the language.
Absolutely. Let's do it. And the resource, it starts by laying out some fundamental principles, things to keep in mind for this real-life practice to actually work well for you.
Okay, what's first?
Well, the first big one is consistency over perfection. It sounds simple, but it's huge.
Right.
It's so easy to think you need these massive, hour-long study sessions. But the source says even short daily exposure, maybe just 15 minutes, that's often way more effective long-term.
That makes so much sense, doesn't it? It's like learning guitar or something.
Yeah.
Practicing a little bit every day seems to stick better than one huge, frustrating practice session once a week where your brain just quits halfway through.
Exactly. And building on that, there's this idea of contextual learning.
Contextual learning. Tell me more.
So the resource gives this great example. Instead of just memorizing the word negotiate from a list, it's much better to actually practice using it, say, in a pretend business chat. You start to really feel its meaning, its nuances, how it fits naturally.
Ah, okay. So you understand how it works in the real world, not just its definition.
Precisely. Words don't live in a vacuum.
Yeah.
When you learn them in context, you're not just memorizing, you're grasping their function, how they play with other words, when to use them, and the next principle. It's all about getting active. Output-focused practice.
Output focus. Okay, so not just taking English in, but putting it out.
Exactly. This really jumped out at me too. It's easy to just, passively watch movies or listen to podcasts. And those things are good, don't get me wrong.
Sure, they have their place.
But this resource really pushes the importance of actively producing the language, actually speaking it, actually writing it, putting those words to work.
That's the difference between knowing about something and actually being able to do it, I suppose.
That's a great way to put it. Passive understanding versus active competence. You might understand tons, but actually saying it or writing it forces you to, retrieve words quickly, build sentences on the fly. It's a deeper level of engagement.
Makes sense. And the last core principle.
Feedback. It sounds obvious maybe, but it's critical.
Oh yeah. Feedback is gold.
Totally. The resource stresses actively looking for it. From teachers, sure, but also language partners. Maybe even some of those apps that give corrections.
Right, because you don't always know what you don't know.
Exactly. Feedback helps you spot those blind spots, fix pronunciation, tweak grammar, just improve your overall style.
Okay, so those are the foundations. Consistency, context, output, and feedback. Got it.
Right. So keeping those in mind, let's dive into some specific real-life speaking techniques the resource suggests for you. First up is something called shadowing.
Shadowing. Okay, I've definitely heard of this, but maybe explain it for anyone who's new to the term.
Sure thing. So shadowing basically means you take a short bit of audio or video from a native speaker. Could be a news clip, a podcast snippet.
Okay.
You listen to a sentence, maybe two, then you hit pause and you immediately try to repeat exactly what you just heard.
Exactly. Like word for word.
Well, yes, the words, but crucially, you're also trying to mimic their intonation, how they pronounce sounds, the rhythm, the flow of their speech.
Ah, okay, so it's more than just repeating words.
Much more. It's almost like you're bypassing the analytical part of your brain and just getting your mouth and ears to learn the music of English, kind of by osmosis.
The music of English, I like that. And the resource says this is good for your accent and fluency.
Yeah, hugely beneficial for both. You really start to internalize how native speakers naturally link words, where they put the stress. It smooths things out.
Cool. Okay, what's the next speaking technique?
Next are language exchange meetups. The resource mentions platforms like Tandem, HelloTalk, Speaky. Are you familiar with these?
Yeah, I am. They're pretty clever, actually. Simple idea, really effective.
How do they work, basically?
Well, you connect with native English speakers who are learning your language.
Ah, okay, a swap.
Exactly. So you spend some time helping them practice your language, and then they help you practice English. It's a win-win. And like the resource says, it's great because you can practice casual chat or you can aim for more formal stuff, depending on who you find and what you need.
Right, that real back and forth interaction, super important. Okay, after that, the resource suggests trying out role-playing scenarios.
Role-playing. Sounds a bit staged, maybe awkward.
It could feel a bit weird at first, yeah. But it's actually incredibly useful for building confidence for specific situations you know you'll face.
Like what kind of situations?
Well, think about common things. A job interview, maybe giving a short presentation, calling customer service, even explaining a health issue to a doctor.
Okay, yeah, those can be stressful.
Definitely. So the idea is to practice these dialogues, maybe with that language partner you found online, or even just by yourself. The resource even suggests recording yourself.
Recording yourself. Ooh, cringe factor.
Maybe a little.
Yeah.
But it's so helpful. You listen back, see where you hesitated, how clear you sounded. Then you can compare it to like a YouTube video of a native speaker in a similar situation. Helps you fine-tune things.
That's actually a really practical tip, like rehearsing for the real thing. I can see how that would make you less nervous. What's next?
Conversation clubs.
Ah, like groups that meet up just to chat in English.
Exactly. Could be online, could be in person. They're set up to be supportive places just to practice speaking. The resource even mentions Toastmasters specifically.
Oh yeah, Toastmasters is great for public speaking, right?
Precisely. So if that's one of your goals in English, it's a fantastic option. These clubs give you that structured chance to speak in front of people and get useful feedback.
Good call. And the last speaking technique is kind of funny sounding, talking to yourself.
Yeah, it sounds a bit strange, but it works. The resource gives a really simple example. Just narrate what you're doing during the day, out loud.
Like, I am now opening the fridge.
Pretty much. Okay, taking out the milk, pouring some of my tea. It feels odd at first, sure, but it's zero pressure. You're just practicing forming sentences, using everyday words, getting used to the sound of your own voice speaking English.
Okay, but wait, if you're just talking to yourself, couldn't you just be practicing mistakes? Reinforcing bad habits if no one corrects you?
That's a really good point, a valid concern.
So how do you avoid that?
Well, a couple of things. You can stick to narrating simple actions using grammar and vocabulary you're already fairly sure about. And you could also maybe occasionally record yourself doing this narration and then listen back. Maybe compare it to how a native speaker might describe the same thing. You can do a bit of self-correction that way.
Okay, that makes sense. Right, so we've got shadowing, language exchange, role-playing, conversation clubs, and even talking to yourself. Lots of speaking practice ideas.
Definitely.
Now, what about the other side of the coin? Listening skills. How can our listener actively improve those in real-life ways? The resource has tips here too, right? Starting with podcasts.
Absolutely, but not just having them on in the background. It emphasizes active listening.
What does that mean exactly? Active listening.
It means really engaging with it. The resource suggests choosing podcasts with different accents, maybe American, British, Australian. Get your ear used to the variety.
Good idea.
And, crucially, using transcripts if they're available, especially for tricky parts. And making a point to actually jot down interesting idioms or phrases you hear.
So, paying close attention.
Right. And maybe picking stuff that's just a little bit challenging for you. That comprehensible input plus one idea makes your brain work a bit harder to understand new things in context.
And the resource suggests some specific podcasts.
It does, yeah. The English We Speak from the BBC, Luke's English podcast, This American Life, and The Daily from the New York Times. A good mix to start with.
Nice. Okay, what else for listening?
Next up is the classic challenge, TV shows and movies. without subtitles.
Ah, the final frontier.
Pretty much. But the advice is sensible. Don't just jump in the deep end. Start with English subtitles on.
Right.
Then try turning them off for maybe just 5 minutes at first. See how you do. Gradually increase the time as you get more comfortable.
Makes sense. Less scary that way.
Definitely. And again, the key is focus. Really listen. Note down phrases you don't get. Look them up later.
Got it. And the last listening technique, something about audiobooks.
Yeah, pairing audiobooks with the actual printed book.
How does that help?
Well, you follow along in the book while listening. It's great for reinforcing vocabulary, getting the rhythm and intonation, and hearing the correct pronunciation while seeing the word. It builds really strong connections between the sound and the text.
I can see that being really powerful. Okay, speaking, listening, check. Let's move on to writing. This can feel a bit more daunting for some people, I think.
It definitely can. But the resource has some really approachable ideas. First one is just journaling in English.
Journaling, like writing a diary.
Sort of, yeah. But it doesn't have to be super personal Dear Diary stuff. Just write about your day, your thoughts on something you read, your opinions, whatever.
Regularly.
Low pressure, exactly. And the key tip here is to use tools like Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid.
Ah, the spell checkers and grammar checkers?
Yeah, but they're more advanced now. They give you instant feedback, spot mistakes, suggest improvements. It's like having a mini editor. And if you journal consistently, you might start noticing patterns like, oh, I always make that mistake with prepositions. Then you can focus on it.
That instant feedback loop sounds really useful.
Okay, what's another writing practice?
Getting involved in online forums or Reddit.
Reddit. Really?
Yeah. Specifically, subreddits like English Learning are great, obviously. But even general ones like Rask Reddit or forums about your hobbies.
How does that help with writing?
Well, you're writing for a real audience, expressing opinions, maybe getting into little debates. Respectfully, of course.
Uh-huh. Yes, important caveat on Reddit.
You're asking questions, answering questions. It's real communication, just written down.
Okay, I can see that. And for people who want to take it a step further, maybe share more publicly.
The resource suggests blogging or microblogging.
Blogging, like starting your own website.
Could be. Platforms like Medium or WordPress make it easy. Or even just using social media, writing thoughtful Instagram captions in English, posting short updates or opinions on Twitter.
Ah, okay. So shorter form works too.
Absolutely. It gives your writing practice a purpose, maybe even connects you with people interested in the same things.
Nice. And the last writing point, email. Yeah, email correspondence. Especially crucial if you use English for work or want to.
Right. Professional emails have their own style.
Totally. So practice writing real emails if you can, to friends, teachers, contacts, or even just mock ones. Practice different scenarios, inquiries, complaints, scheduling things. It helps you nail that formal structure in polite language.
Okay, great. So we've covered a lot of ground: speaking, listening, writing. What about reading? How can we sharpen those skills in a real-life way?
Well, the first tip is pretty fundamental, but really effective. Read the news in English. Daily, if possible.
Just pick up a newspaper or go online.
Exactly. Reputable sources like the BBC, The Guardian, NPR, Al Jazeera. Reading news articles consistently exposes you to good, often complex sentence structures, loads of current vocabulary.
And different writing styles too, I guess.
Definitely. The resource suggests actively looking for new words and maybe even paying attention to how sentences are built.
Good habit to get into. What about longer reading, like books?
Yeah, for people who enjoy that, joining an online book club that reads in English is a great idea.
How does that add value beyond just reading the book yourself?
Well, you read the book, obviously improving comprehension, but then you discuss it with others.
Ah, the speaking practice connection?
Exactly. You talk about the plot, the characters, the themes. It forces you to use vocabulary related to the book, articulate your opinions. It makes the reading more active and social.
Smart. And are there any specific tools for reading practice?
Yes. The resource mentions some interesting interactive platforms. Things like News and Levels, LingQ, Rewordify.
What do they do?
They often use adaptive technology. So they can simplify texts to match your current level. You can read an article, and if it's too hard, it adjusts it. Then you can gradually tackle more complex versions as you improve.
Oh, that's clever. Personalized reading.
Yeah, and LingQ, for example, has a huge library of real-world stuff, articles, dialogues, even book chapters, and lets you click on any word you don't know to get an instant definition right there in the text.
Very cool. These digital tools sound like a big help, and the resource mentions more of these, right? Beyond just reading.
Oh yeah, definitely. It highlights a whole range of immersive digital resources, like language immersion apps,
Such as?
Fluent U is one it mentions. It uses real videos, movie trailers, music videos, news clips, and makes them into lessons. See the language used naturally.
Engaging. What else? AI tutors. Is that a thing now?
It really is.
Yeah.
It sounds futuristic, but tools like Ikaiwa AI, ChatGPT, even TalkPal AI, they can simulate conversations pretty convincingly now.
So you can just talk to an AI.
Pretty much. You can ask it questions, practice role-playing like those job interviews we mentioned, and some even give you feedback on your pronunciation, almost instantly.
Wow. That's kind of amazing, like a patient practice partner available 24/7.
Exactly. And without any human awkwardness or judgment.
True. Okay, what other digital resources? YouTube.
Definitely. YouTube is a goldmine. Channels like English Speeches, Speak English with Mr. Duncan, BBC Learning English. Tons of videos made for learners, covering grammar, vocab, culture, everything. Great for listening and visual learning.
Right. And then there was something surprising. Gaming.
Yeah, using video games for English practice.
How does that work?
Well, think about story-driven games. Games with lots of dialogue, lots of text on screen, things like Life is Strange or The Last of Us.
Okay, so you're immersed in the story.
And you're constantly reading subtitles or notes, listening to conversations between characters. It's practice, but it feels like entertainment because you're engaged in the game.
Sneaky.
I like it. Okay, this is a fantastic toolkit. Now, the resource also talks about setting yourself specific challenges, right? To really push yourself.
It does. Real world challenges. The first one is pretty intense. A 30-day English only challenge.
Whoa! English only for a whole month. Yep. The idea is you switch everything digital to English. Your phone language, your browser, your apps, the news you read, the videos you watch, everything for 30 days straight.
That sounds hardcore, but I bet it forces incredible immersion.
Exactly. It's like creating your own immersion environment without leaving home.
Okay, what's a slightly less intense challenge?
How about a mock job interview series?
Tell me more.
You'd basically prepare for and practice answering common advanced interview questions. Record yourself answering them out loud.
And then?
Get feedback. Ask a teacher, a tutor, a fluent friend to listen and tell you how you did. It's super practical prep if you're aiming for jobs that need English.
Yeah, really targeted practice. What's the third challenge?
A presentation challenge.
So giving a presentation in English.
Exactly. Pick a topic you know well or care about. Prepare a short presentation and then deliver it.
To who?
Could be to friends, your language exchange group, even just record yourself, maybe upload it somewhere if you're brave. It pushes you to structure your thoughts and speak clearly and confidently.
Okay, those are some solid challenges. Now, a lot of people learning English need it for work. Does the resource cover applying these skills in professional settings?
It definitely touches on that. It stresses knowing the ins and outs of business English emails, the right format, tone, phrases for different situations like requests, complaints, scheduling.
Stuff.
Right. And also practicing presentations and reports in English. It even suggests watching TED Talks as good examples of clear structure and delivery.
Good tip. And what about specific job fields?
Crucial point. It emphasizes learning the specific English vocabulary for your industry. Whether you're in IT, medicine, engineering, whatever, knowing the right terms is key for sounding professional and confident.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have all these techniques, resources, challenges, but how do you stay motivated? Especially when you're advanced, progress can feel slower.
Yeah, motivation is huge. The resource has some good tips here too. One is using a learning journal.
We mentioned journaling for writing practice, but this is different.
Slightly. This is more about tracking your practice itself. Log what you did each day. Maybe you watched a film, did some shadowing, chatted with a partner. Note down new words or phrases. Reflect on what felt easy or hard. Set little goals for next time.
So it's about tracking the process and progress.
Yeah, exactly. Makes your effort visible, shows you how far you've come. That can be really motivating.
I like that. What else for motivation?
Setting realistic milestones. Not just get fluent, but smaller concrete goals.
Like what? Give me an example for an advanced learner.
Okay, maybe. Have a 10-minute conversation on a new topic without major pauses, or watch a whole movie without any subtitles, or write a 1,000-word blog post with fewer than, say, 10 errors.
Specific and measurable. Got it.
Yes. Things you can actually achieve and check off.
And probably the most important one.
Celebrate the wins.
Yes, acknowledge your progress.
Absolutely. When you hit one of those milestones, or even just have a really good conversation, reward yourself somehow. It keeps things positive and reinforces the effort.
Definitely. Now, for learners wanting to tackle really meaty conversation topics, does the resource suggest any to really stretch their skills?
It does. It lists some great thought-provoking subjects that require more complex language. Things like climate change and sustainability,
Yeah, big one.
the role of AI in society, cultural differences and globalization, ethics in tech, mental health awareness, the future of education.
Wow, yeah. Those aren't small talk topics.
Not at all. They require nuanced vocabulary, expressing complex ideas, maybe debating different viewpoints. The resource suggests using these for discussion groups, journal prompts, even online comments, really pushes your advanced skills.
Excellent suggestions. And finally, just to wrap up the resources part, it gives a summary of free versus paid options, right?
Yeah, a quick helpful overview, like for speaking practice, you've got free options like HelloTalk or Tandem, or paid tutoring on italki or Cambly.
Oh.
Listening,
Right.
free stuff like YouTube and BBC podcasts, or paid curated content on Fluency. Writing, free options like Reddit and Basic Grammarly, versus paid pro writing aid for deeper analysis.
Makes sense.
Reading on free news sites or News and Levels, versus maybe LingQ Premium for more features. And vocabulary, free tools like Quizlet, maybe paid Archidex for serious flashcard users.
So something for every budget and learning style.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Lots of options out there.
Fantastic. Well, bringing this deep dive toward a close, it feels really clear that exploring this resource, real-life practice techniques and resources for advanced English learners, it really highlights a key shift, doesn't it?
It really does.
For those of you who've already got that advanced foundation, it's less about just learning English theory now and much more about actively living it, weaving it into your actual life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about making that conscious choice to engage with English every day in all sorts of ways, through real conversations, getting lost in stories, maybe debating ideas, reflecting in the language.
Yeah. And the really empowering thing, which the resource points out, is you don't have to move to an English-speaking country to do this.
Not at all. That's such a key takeaway.
It really is, especially now with all the amazing digital tools and resources we have.
The possibilities are endless.
Right. If you just bring a bit of creativity, a bit of intention, you can build English into your daily rhythm no matter where you are.
Absolutely. It's totally doable.
So as a final thought for everyone listening, reflecting on everything we've talked about today,
Yeah.
think about your own routine, your actual day-to-day life right now. What's just one small thing, one really actionable step you could take, maybe even starting today, to make your English practice feel more genuinely real life? Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab.
Hi there.
Today, we're diving deep into a really engaging way to sharpen your English listening skills. We're talking about motivational speeches.
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone learning English, really getting a handle on listening is what's fundamental, isn't it?
It really is.
It's not just about catching the words. It's about understanding the subtleties, improving your own pronunciation along the way, expanding your vocabulary, even picking up on cultural insights.
Totally. And motivational speeches, they offer such a unique angle for this practice, right? You've got these compelling speakers, they want to inspire. And in doing that, they use this incredibly rich language, loads of techniques that are just perfect for learners.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to kind of unpack why these speeches are so effective for listening practice, and importantly, how you can use them to boost your skills, whatever your current level is.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start right there. Why is listening practice itself just so vital? Why focus on it?
Well, it's really the bedrock. It's the foundation of learning a language. When you listen, your brain is processing information in real time.
Right, no pausing like with reading.
Precisely. You can't just go back easily. And it's incredibly important for getting used to different accents, understanding intonation, the music of the language, and how people actually speak day to day.
That makes a lot of sense.
And what's more, actively listening directly feeds into your own speaking and pronunciation,
Oh, how so?
because you're constantly exposed to correct patterns, how words should sound, the rhythm of sentences. It kind of gets absorbed.
Ah, okay, so hearing it done well helps you do it well.
That's the idea. Plus, it expands your vocabulary and helps you understand idioms, but crucially in context. Speeches often mix, say, formal words with more casual expressions.
So you get a feel for different registers of language.
You do. And another interesting point, they offer a window into cultural values, different ways of thinking. Understanding maybe a historical reference in a speech can unlock a whole other layer of meaning.
That's a great point. Deeper than just words.
And honestly, compared to some, let's say, drier exercises, listening to something inspiring, that can be really motivating in itself. Keeps you engaged.
Definitely more appealing than just grammar drills sometimes.
No question. And finally, it just prepares you for the real world, understanding presentations, joining conversations, all of that.
Okay, convinced. Listening is key. But the specifics, why are motivational speeches such a standout tool for this?
Right. There's several really good reasons. First off, the speakers usually aim for clarity. They want their message to land, so they tend to speak clearly, often using, deliberate pacing and emphasis.
So easier to follow along, generally.
Generally, yes.
Yes.
And second, the emotional punch. These speeches grab your attention, they hold it. That encourages active listening and maybe even makes you want to listen again.
That rings true. If you're actually interested, you pay better attention.
Of course. And something else, they're often packed with rhetorical techniques.
Like what?
Things like repetition for emphasis, metaphors to create vivid images, parallelism, where they structure sentences similarly for impact, anaphora, like repeating a phrase at the start of clauses.
Okay.
These aren't just fancy tricks. They actually help you remember things and expose you to more complex but effective ways of structuring ideas in English. That repetition creates a kind of rhythm.
I see, like building momentum with words.
Spot on. Also, the sheer variety of topics is huge. You get exposed to diverse vocabulary and different cultural contexts just by listening to different speeches.
So you're learning language and learning about the world.
And very practically, loads of great speeches are just readily available online, often with transcripts too, which makes practice super convenient.
That is handy, having the text to check.
Definitely. And because speeches vary so much in length and complexity, there's something for every level, from beginner to advanced. Plus, you often have subtitles available if you need that extra support.
So accessible for everyone, really.
Pretty much. And one last thing, the themes themselves. Perseverance, overcoming challenges, reaching goals. These can be incredibly inspiring, especially when you're facing the challenges of learning a language yourself.
Yeah, that extra bit of motivation can't hurt. Okay, so they're great. When we are listening, what specific language things should we be tuning into?
Good question. Several key areas. Pronunciation and intonation are big ones. How speakers use the rise and fall of their voice. That conveys emotion. It highlights key points. Noticing that can seriously improve your own speaking.
You mean how they stress certain words or pause?
Exactly. Like that slight pause before a really important phrase and then hitting that key word with emphasis. That's intonation making the message stick. It adds impact.
Got it. What else?
Those rhetorical devices we mentioned earlier, really listen for them. Repetition, what's being hammered home. Metaphors, what comparison are they making? Parallelism, can you hear the similar sentence structures?
And spotting those helps understanding.
It does. It helps you follow the structure, maybe even anticipate where they're going. Also, pay attention to the vocabulary range. Notice the mix, maybe some formal words, some everyday language. It all helps build your own word bank.
Right, expanding your own vocabulary.
And sentence structure. Are they using short, punchy sentences or longer, more complex ones to explain nuances? See how they organize thoughts in spoken English? It's different from writing.
Definitely worth observing.
And don't forget the emotional and persuasive language. Notice words designed to evoke feelings, how they might directly address you, the audience. Tone and word choice are critical for meaning.
So reading between the lines a bit.
In a way, yes. And finally, listen out for those cultural or historical references. They might need a little extra thought or research, but they add so much richness to your understanding of the language's context.
Okay, lots to listen for. But practically speaking, how do we choose the right speeches for our level? We don't want to get discouraged right away.
Crucial point. You need that balance, challenging but achievable. So for beginners, say A1, A2 level, you'll want shorter speeches, maybe 5 to 10 minutes max.
Yeah.
Look for speakers with really clear, maybe slightly slower pronunciation, simple language, not too many complex ideas or obscure references, and definitely try to find ones with subtitles available.
Any specific examples that fit that bill?
Well, think about talks aimed at a general audience, perhaps even some aimed at younger people, like Kid President's Pep Talk. It's very clear, enthusiastic, simple language. Or Amy Purdy's first TED Talk inspiring story, clearly delivered. The goal initially is just grasping the main idea of short chunks.
So short, clear, simple, subtitles handy. Got it. What about intermediate, B1, B2?
Okay, intermediate. You can aim for slightly longer speeches, maybe 10 to 20 minutes. Expect more varied sentence structures, a broader vocabulary range. You'll start encountering some idioms, maybe cultural references, more emotional depth perhaps.
And subtitle use.
Try listening without them first. See what you can get. Then use the transcript or subtitles to check and fill in the gaps. Maybe summarize the main points afterwards.
Recommendations for this level.
Steve Jobs' Stanford commencement address is a classic. Great storytelling, relatable themes, clearly spoken. Or Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's We Should All Be Feminists. Powerful message, very articulate speaker.
Right, push yourself a bit more, use transcripts as a tool. And advanced, C1, C2.
Advanced learners can tackle longer speeches, 20 minutes plus. Expect complex language, abstract concepts, maybe more dense cultural or historical references. The delivery might be faster, more nuanced.
The deep end.
Sort of. Listen multiple times. First for gist, then for detail, then really analyze how the speaker is using language, the rhetoric, the tone, the pacing.
Examples here.
Oh, you've masterpieces like Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream. Incredible rhetorical power, huge historical context. Or Barack Obama's 2004 DNC keynote complex arguments, powerful delivery. At this level, you can really dig into the artistry.
So, multiple listens, deep analysis.
Exactly. And remember, places like YouTube, TED.com, American Rhetoric Online, they're treasure troves for finding speeches at all these levels.
Okay, fantastic. We've picked our speech. Now, how do we actually do the listening practice effectively? Is it just hit play?
Ideally, not just hit play and hope. A more structured approach works best. Step 1 is preparation.
Okay.
You got your speech, right?
Yeah.
Get the audio or video ready, grab the transcript and subtitles if you plan to use them, and, importantly, set a small goal for the session. What do you want to achieve this time? Understand the main point. Learn 5 new words. Focus on vowel sounds.
Set an intention.
Yes. And find a quiet spot, obviously. Then before you dive in, do some pre-listening.
Pre-listening?
Yeah, just briefly think about the topic, read a summary if there is one, maybe quickly skim the transcript for any key vocabulary that jumps out. Try to predict what the speaker might say. You could even listen to the first 30 seconds just to tune your ear to their voice without trying to understand everything yet.
Like a little warm-up lap.
Exactly. Then comes the active listening. And this often means listening more than once, with a different focus each time.
Right.
First, listen. Go for the big picture. Listen all the way through if you can. Just try to get the main message, the overall feeling. Don't sweat the details yet. Beginners might use subtitles here. Maybe jot down 1 or 2 main ideas you caught.
Okay, just first.
Second, listen. Now you can pause more, maybe after each paragraph or key point. Focus on understanding specific details, examples, or stories. Note down any new or interesting words or phrases. Intermediate learners, really try this without subtitles if possible.
Digging a bit deeper.
Third, listen. Now zoom in on the language itself. Focus on pronunciation, intonation, rhythm. Notice those rhetorical devices. You could even choose a short sentence and try shadowing repeating it right after the speaker. Advanced learners might analyze the speaker's tone, persuasive techniques, audience connection here.
So each listen has a job. What happens after we're done listening?
Post-listening is where you consolidate. Check your understanding. Summarize the speech out loud or write it down. Answer comprehension questions if you have them.
Oh, okay.
Work with that new vocabulary. Make flashcards, write sentences. Practice pronunciation. Pick a key phrase. Record yourself saying it. Compare it to the speaker. Mimic their intonation.
That sounds really active.
It is.
Yeah.
And reflect on the content. What did you think? Did it resonate? Discuss it with someone if you can. Research any cultural bits you didn't get.
Covering all the bases?
Pretty much. And finally, review and repeat. Listen to the speech again maybe a week later. See if you understand more. Track your progress. And try to apply what you learned. Use new words. Maybe try structuring a point similarly in your own speaking.
Wow, that's a really solid step-by-step process. Makes it seem much more manageable.
Hope so.
But what about, the hurdles? It's not always smooth sailing. What if the speaker is just too fast?
Very common challenge. Use those playback speed controls. Most players have them. Slow it down just a bit. 0.75x speed can make a huge difference. Also, focus on catching keywords, not every single syllable. And practice with short clips first.
Good tip on the speed control. What about unfamiliar accents? They can be tough.
They can. Start with accents you find easier to understand. Listen multiple times, your ear does adapt. And use the transcript to connect the sounds you're hearing with the words on the page. Exposure helps.
Okay. And complex vocabulary. Feeling lost in the words.
Yeah, that happens. Pre-reading the transcript can help you spot and look up tricky words beforehand. keep a vocab journal, and really practice using the context of the surrounding sentences to guess the meaning before you look it up.
Using your detective skills.
Exactly. What about cultural references you don't get?
Oh yeah, they mention a historical event or a specific cultural thing and you're like, huh.
Right. Do a quick search beforehand if you know the speech's context. If not, note it down and look it up afterwards. Discuss it with others. Think of it as a bonus learning opportunity, language and culture.
Good mindset shift. What about just losing focus during a longer speech?
Break it down. Listen in smaller chunks. 5 or 10 minutes at a time, take a break. Take notes while listening that keeps you physically and mentally engaged. And crucially, pick topics you actually find interesting. That's half the battle.
Interest definitely helps. And those rhetorical devices, if they just feel confusing.
Don't try to catch everything at once. Focus on one specific device per listening session. Maybe today you listen just for repetition. Next time, for metaphors. Use the transcript to visually spot the patterns. Summarizing afterwards also helps simplify the structure in your mind.
Take it piece by piece. And the big one, just feeling discouraged, lack of confidence, that I'm not getting it feeling.
It's real, and it happens to everyone. Set small, achievable goals for each session. Did you understand one more sentence than last time? Did you learn one new word? Celebrate those small wins. Remind yourself it's a process, a journey. Consistency is key, not perfection.
That's really important to remember. It takes time.
It really does. And remember, there are tons of resources out there. We mentioned TED, YouTube, American Rhetoric for speeches, but also tools like audio speed controllers, VLC Media Player, Audacity are free, pronunciation apps like Speechling, vocab apps like Anki or Quizlet, language exchange communities like iTalki or HelloTalk. Lots of support available.
So we're not alone in this.
Not at all. And thinking about practice plans, whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, the core idea is tailoring it. Beginners might focus on short segments, basic comprehension, key sounds. Intermediate, longer pieces, summarizing more vocab. Advanced, deep analysis of language and context. But the constant, regular practice, setting goals you can actually meet.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful. We've really explored how motivational speeches can be such a dynamic and genuinely effective tool for improving English listening.
Absolutely. That mix of engaging content, clear delivery usually, and rich language features, it's a fantastic combination for improving comprehension, building vocabulary, refining pronunciation, and gaining cultural insights.
And getting inspired along the way.
That too.
So the main takeaway seems to be, choose speeches right for your level. Practice consistently with a structured approach that prepare, pre-listen, active listen, post-listen cycle, and really engage with the material.
That's the heart of it.
So why not start today? Find a speech that catches your eye, set a simple goal for your first listen, and just dive in.
Give it a try.
And if you found this deep dive helpful and you want more tips and strategies for boosting your English, please do like this video, share it with fellow learners, and subscribe to the Learn English Lab YouTube channel.
Thanks for tuning in. Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab.
Hi there.
Today we're embarking on, well, an important journey, really. We want to sharpen your professional edge, specifically by focusing on English listening skills for jobs and careers.
Yeah, this is such a key area. You know, in the professional world, just being able to speak English, it's often not quite enough, is it?
No, not at all.
Truly understanding what's being said, that's vital for instructions, connecting with colleagues, navigating those more complex discussions.
Right.
Good listening skills are really the foundation for all of that.
Absolutely. And, you know, even for advanced English learners, the workplace can still throw up some unique listening challenges.
Definitely. Things like accents.
Yeah, unfamiliar accents or maybe specialized industry terms you haven't heard before.
Fast-paced conversations, too.
Exactly. And those subtle cultural nuances, or even just, background noise making it hard to focus.
Indeed. So our goal today is really to break down some essential strategies.
And vocabulary too, right?
Yeah. Yes, and introduce crucial vocabulary, stuff that will help you listen with more confidence in, well, any professional setting you might find yourself in.
Think of this as your shortcut, maybe, to feeling more informed and prepared.
That's a good way to put it. Prepared for any English-speaking work environment.
Okay, let's dive in then. Should we start with active listening?
Good place to start. It's fundamental.
It's all about really engaging with the speaker, isn't it?
Fully engaged. So key techniques would be things like maintaining focus, obviously.
Right.
Using nonverbal cues, nodding, eye contact to show you're paying attention.
That's important.
And crucially, paraphrasing and asking clarifying questions.
Can you give an example of that, like the paraphrasing part?
Sure. So imagine someone says something a bit jargon heavy, like, we need to leverage our core competencies to drive stakeholder engagement.
Okay, sounds corporate.
Right. So a good active listening response might be, okay, so just to clarify, are you suggesting we focus on our main strengths to like improve client relationships?
I see. So you're checking, you got the meaning.
Exactly. You're processing it, not just hearing it.
Got it. Okay, another really useful strategy is predicting and anticipating content.
Thinking ahead.
Yeah. Before a meeting or even just a conversation, think about the context. What's the agenda? What's the likely purpose here?
That makes sense. It primes you.
It does. And also, listen for what's sometimes called signposting language.
Like transitions.
Kind of. Phrases like, first let's discuss, or my main point is, or moving on to, they guide you through the conversation.
Like road signs.
Exactly like road signs. They help you anticipate what's coming next and follow the flow.
And the context helps too, doesn't it? Like you were saying, like you're in a tech meeting.
Right. You can anticipate hearing terms like API or cloud computing.
Or if you're going for an interview, researching the company helps you anticipate their concerns, maybe vocabulary around sustainability initiatives, if that's big for them.
Good point. Now, something many learners struggle with, different accents and fast speech.
Oh yeah, that's a common one.
The key here really is exposure. You just have to listen to various accents, podcasts, videos.
Get your ear tuned in.
Precisely. And when you are listening, try to focus on the main meaning. Pick out the keywords, the nouns, verbs, adjectives.
Don't get bogged down by every single word.
Right. And honestly, don't be afraid to politely ask someone to slow down a bit.
Is that okay professionally?
Absolutely. You can say something like, excuse me, could you please speak a bit more slowly? I just want to make sure I understand your points fully. It shows you're engaged.
That's reassuring. And what if you hear a phrase you don't quite catch, maybe because of the accent? Like, we need to check in some extra resources for the proj.
Right. Focus on the core words.
Yeah.
Resources. Proj, which is probably project.
Okay.
Then you can ask for confirmation politely. Sorry, did you mean allocating more budget to the project?
Checking again. It all comes back to ensuring understanding.
Exactly. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about vocabulary. Building your vocab is just fundamental for listening comprehension.
Can't understand if you don't know the words.
Pretty much. Let's start with some general workplace terms you'll hear across many industries.
Okay, like what?
Things like agenda, the meeting plan, stakeholder fear, anyone with an interest in a project or business.
Right. Deliverable.
Yep, the expected result of a task or project. Bandwidth often used to mean available time or capacity.
I don't have the bandwidth for that right now.
Exactly. Then there's action item, a task assigned in a meeting. KPI, key performance indicator, a measure of success.
Lots of acronyms in business.
There are. Synergy, the idea that teamwork creates a better result. And onboard, integrating a new employee.
And the key with these is context, right? Understanding how they're used.
Absolutely. Pay attention to the context. Deliverable, for instance, often comes up with talk about deadlines or milestones.
Makes sense. So those are general terms. What about specific industries?
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting. Different fields have their own jargon. Let's take technology. You might hear agile.
Which is a project management method, right? Flexible, iterative.
Correct. Cloud computing, storing data online. API, application programming interface, how software talks to other software.
And DevOps.
That's about combining software development and IT operations to shorten the development cycle, faster delivery.
Okay. What about healthcare?
In healthcare, you'll hear triage, prioritizing patients. EHR, electronic health record.
Digital records.
Prognosis, the likely outcome of disease. And HIPAA, that's a U.S. law about patient privacy.
Important to know if you're in that field.
Definitely. Moving to finance, you'll encounter terms like liquidity.
How easily you can turn assets into cash.
Right. ROI, return on investment, equity ownership value, and amortization.
Spreading out costs over time.
Yes, usually for intangible assets. And one more, education.
Okay.
You'll hear pedagogy, the theory and practice of teaching. Curriculum, what's taught.
IEP.
Individualized education program for students with special needs, and formative assessment.
Checking progress along the way, not just at the end.
Exactly. Ongoing checks to inform teaching.
So how do you learn all this specific jargon?
Best way, immerse yourself. Listen to podcasts, watch webinars, read articles specific to your field or the field you're interested in.
Makes sense. Targeted listening.
Yeah. And finally, on vocab, we need to touch on idioms and phrasal verbs.
Ah, the fun stuff.
They add color, but they can be tricky, right?
Definitely, like get the ball rolling.
Means start something.
Yeah.
Or think outside the box.
Be creative.
On the same page.
In agreement.
Drop the ball.
Ooh, that's a bad one. Fail at a task.
What is step up?
Take more responsibility.
And run the numbers.
Analyze data. Do the calculations.
Again, context is usually your best friend for figuring these out.
True. You often get the meaning from the situation.
Okay, so we've covered strategies and vocabulary. How does this all play out in real life? Let's look at some scenarios.
Good idea. Like a job interview.
Perfect. Imagine you're interviewing for, say, a marketing manager role. The interviewer might ask something like, can you walk us through your experience with digital marketing campaigns?
Okay, walk us through. Explain in detail.
Right. And they might add, we're particularly interested in how you've driven ROI.
Return on investment again.
And leveraged analytics to optimize performance.
So using data analytics to improve, optimize results. Lots of key terms there. Leverage too, meaning it used effectively.
Exactly. They might also ask how you stay agile or pivot quickly if market conditions change.
Adapting quickly. More relevant vocabulary.
Okay, scenario 2. A team meeting, maybe for a new product launch.
Right. The team lead might kick things off.
Yeah, they might say, all right, let's get the ball rolling.
Starting the meeting, idiom check.
Our goal is to launch this product by Q3, and we need everyone firing on all cylinders.
Firing on all cylinders, working at maximum capacity, very effectively. Another idiom.
Then they might say, Sarah, can you outline the deliverables for the design team?
Key term, deliverables. Expected outcomes. They might also talk about making the product scalable.
Meaning it can handle growth, or mention looping in other teams involving them.
Or potential bandwidth issues.
Not enough time or resources. See how it all comes together?
Yeah, it really does. What about a client negotiation? Might be more formal.
Often, yes. Imagine a client, maybe with a British accent for an extra challenge, says, we're keen to move forward.
Keen, meaning interested, eager.
But the proposed budget is a tad steep.
Tad steep, a little bit expensive, nice understatement.
Could you walk us through the cost breakdown?
Explain the costs in detail. More formal phrasing. You might also hear about needing robust performance from a product, strong, reliable performance.
Or discussions about the scope of the project, what's included and what's not.
Very important in negotiations.
Okay, one last scenario. A performance review.
Always fun.
Your manager might say something like, you've done a stellar job leading the team, especially on the recent project.
Stellar, excellent, outstanding. Good start.
Your ability to think outside the box was key.
Creative thinking again. Craze.
That said,
Here comes the but.
we'd like to see you step up in terms of time management.
Step up. Take more responsibility. Improve. Constructive criticism. Vocabulary like stellar, think outside the box, step up. They might also mention things like crunch periods, busy times before deadlines.
Or bottlenecks, things slowing down progress.
So these scenarios really highlight how the vocabulary and idioms are used naturally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even with all this preparation, you'll still face challenges, right?
Absolutely. Like background noise, that can be really tough.
What can you do? Try to focus intently on the speaker. Noise-canceling headphones can help if appropriate for the situation.
And it's okay to ask to move.
If possible, yes. Politely requesting a quieter environment is perfectly reasonable sometimes.
Okay. What about cultural nuances? You mentioned that earlier.
That's a big one. Communication styles vary hugely. Directness, indirectness.
Sarcasm or humor might not translate well.
Exactly. Pay attention to context, tone of voice. And if you're really unsure about someone's meaning due to a potential cultural difference,
Ask for clarification.
always the safest bet. Better to ask than to misunderstand.
Good advice. And the last challenge. Information overload. Meetings, presentations, so much info.
Oh, definitely. Don't try to write everything down. That's impossible.
Focus on strategic notes.
Yes. Key terms, decisions made, action items assigned to you or others, deadlines, any questions you have.
And mentally summarize.
Good technique. Every few minutes, try to quickly summarize the main points in your head. Prioritize info related to deadlines, budgets, key priorities.
Filter the noise, basically.
Essentially, yes. So, mastering English listening for work, it's an ongoing journey.
It really is. Not something you achieve overnight.
But by applying these strategies, active listening, predicting, adapting to accents, and consciously building your vocabulary.
You're definitely setting yourself up for success. You'll become a much more effective communicator.
Remember the importance of active listening, predicting content, adapting to accents. They all work together.
And keep exploring resources. We mentioned podcasts and webinars specific to your field. Things like the HBR IdeaCast or BBC's The English We Speak can be great for general business English and idioms.
TED Talks, too, for different topics and accents. And language learning apps or tools.
Yeah, tools like Anki or Quizlet for vocabulary building can be invaluable. Keep practicing.
Keep practicing. Stay curious about the language used in your field. Every conversation is a learning opportunity.
Embrace those opportunities. Your ability to truly understand professional English will absolutely contribute to your career success.
Couldn't agree more. Well, we hope you found this deep dive helpful.
Yeah, I hope it gives you some practical things to work on.
If you did find it useful, please do like this video, share it with anyone else who might benefit, and subscribe to the Learn English Lab YouTube channel for more valuable English learning content.
Thanks for listening. Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab.
Hi, everyone.
Today we're diving deep into something really fundamental for connecting with others and showing who you are.
That's right. We're talking about discussing personal values in English.
It's a key aspect of communication, isn't it? Especially when you want to build, meaningful relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it really matters because in many English-speaking places, like the US, for instance,
Right.
talking about what you believe in is a pretty common way people connect.
Yeah. Whether you're making friends, maybe on a date, or even in a job interview.
Or just having a conversation with a bit more substance,
So think of personal values as your guiding principles.
Kind of like your core beliefs, the things that really influence your actions and decisions day to day.
Okay, so understanding these and being able to articulate them in English.
It's not just about boosting your language skills.
No, it actually lets you show your personality, your character with others.
So we'll explore what these values are, and maybe more importantly, how you can talk about them naturally.
Let's start with the basics then. What exactly are personal values?
At their core, they're really about what's important to you, what holds significance.
Right. They're very individual, of course, but they are often shaped by different things, aren't they?
Definitely. Things like your family, your upbringing.
Your culture, maybe religion, or just big life experiences you've had.
All those things mold them. So, to make it clear, let's maybe look at some examples.
Good idea, like honesty.
Okay, honesty. That's about telling the truth, being sincere in how you deal with people.
You might think, I always try to be honest, even when it's, tough.
Right. Or how about loyalty?
Loyalty. That's staying committed, isn't it, to people or maybe causes you believe in.
Yeah, someone might say, I really value loyalty both in friendships and at work.
Then there's responsibility.
Ah, yes. Owning your actions, doing what you think is right.
Sort of like, I believe in being responsible for my own decisions.
Exactly. And freedom. That's a big one for many people.
The ability to make your own choices. Right.
You might hear, freedom is something I definitely don't take for granted.
And maybe one more. How about compassion?
Good one. Caring about others' feelings, their suffering.
It might show up as, I try to treat everyone I meet with compassion.
So those are some core examples.
Now, thinking about culture, are there values that pop up more often in, say, American culture? It's useful to be aware of these?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, everyone's values are personal. Some themes do get emphasized quite a bit.
Like individualism.
Definitely. That idea of being yourself, being authentic. You hear things like, it's important to be true to yourself.
Okay. What else?
Equality. The belief that everyone should have the same rights, same opportunities.
So someone might say, I believe in equal opportunities for all.
Right. And then there's the idea of hard work.
Ah, the work ethic. The notion that if you work hard, you'll succeed.
You'll hear people say, I'm a firm believer in the power of hard work, or something similar.
And directness, saying what you mean.
Yes, that's often valued. Communicating clearly. Someone might say, in my opinion, it's usually best just to be direct.
Okay. And privacy.
Respecting personal space, boundaries.
Like thinking, I value my privacy and I respect others too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a phrase that kind of ties into this, especially individualism, is something like,
What's that?
one value I admire in American culture is how people aren't afraid to express their true selves.
That captures it well. So we know some common values. how do we actually talk about our own values in English naturally? Is there specific vocabulary?
Yes, definitely. There's some great words that help, like integrity.
Integrity. Being honest, having strong morals.
Right. You could say, I really respect people who show integrity.
Okay. And accountability.
That's taking responsibility for your actions.
Like, accountability is crucial, especially in leadership.
Good example. Then there's empathy.
Understanding how others feel.
Exactly. Empathy helps build better relationships, for instance.
It's a little ambition.
That's having a strong drive to achieve things, to reach goals.
Like, she has a lot of ambition and drive.
And one more. Open-minded.
Being willing to listen to different views.
Yeah. Being open-minded helps you grow as a person. Something like that.
So vocabulary is helpful. Are there also, like, sentence structures or phrases that work well?
Oh, for sure. There are some really useful sentence starters.
Like what?
Well, the straightforward one, I believe in.
Ah, simple. I believe in treating people fairly.
Perfect. Or what matters most to me is...
Okay, what matters most to me is being authentic.
Nice. Another direct one is just, I value.
I value deep conversations over small talk. I like that one.
Me too. Or you could say, one of my core values is...
Getting more specific, one of my core values is respect for others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe lastly, for me, it's important too.
For me, it's important to stand up for what I believe.
Those are all great ways to phrase it.
Let's put these into practice. How might they sound in, say, real-life situations?
Okay, good idea. Imagine you're in a job interview.
Right. They might ask, what motivates you?
You could say something like, well, I believe in taking pride in what I do. And one of my core values is integrity. I really aim to do the right thing, even when no one's watching.
That sounds strong. What about with a new friend?
Maybe you're getting to know each other, talking about friendships.
Okay.
You'd say, honestly, I really value loyalty. I think it's important to stand by the people you care about, especially in tough times.
Yeah, that's relatable. And maybe in a relationship context.
If you're talking about what's important to you,
you might say,
I'm looking for trust and honesty. For me, being able to talk openly is super important.
Those examples really help. Now, flipping it around, how can we ask others about their values to deepen the conversation?
That's a great skill to have. You can ask things like, well, simply,
what do you believe in?
Yeah. Or what's something you truly care about?
Or maybe what values guide your decisions?
Those work well. You could also ask about influences, like, has your family influenced your values much?
That's a bit more personal.
It is. Or even more reflective, what do you think makes a good person?
That could lead to an interesting discussion.
For sure. But the key when asking these kinds of questions,
be curious and respectful.
Absolutely. And really listen. Listen more than you speak.
Good advice. Could we hear maybe a brief example of people actually discussing values?
Sure. Imagine this short exchange.
Okay.
Person 1. I just can't lie to people,
Person 2. Yeah, honesty is huge for me too.
Person 1. And respect.
Yeah.
Even if we disagree, I think we should treat each other kindly.
Person 2. Totally agree. That's something I try to live by every day.
See? It can be quite natural. Or someone might just state a core value.
How so?
Like, one value that shapes my entire life is compassion. I think being kind, even when it's not easy, can change the world in small ways.
That's quite profound. So to help our listeners practice, maybe some reflection questions.
Good idea. Let's throw some out there.
Okay, first one. What is one value you feel you would never compromise on?
Tough one. Next, do your values generally align with those of your parents? Or are they different?
Interesting. How about, have your values evolved over time? If so, how and maybe why?
That requires some thought.
Okay.
In what ways do your values influence your relationships with others?
And finally, can you recall a situation where you felt you really had to defend one of your core values?
Those should get people thinking.
Definitely. Now, you touched on culture earlier.
Yeah.
It's worth remembering that how we talk about values can differ, right?
Absolutely. That's a really crucial point. For instance, in some cultures.
Avoiding conflict might be seen as respectful.
Exactly. Whereas in, say, American culture, often speaking up directly can be seen as honest and respectful. Not always, but often.
So it's about reading the situation.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You need to learn to assess the context. In more formal settings, maybe be a bit more reserved initially.
Okay.
But in casual settings, openness is usually appreciated more.
Got it. So maybe a couple of quick practice challenges before we wrap up.
Let's do it. First, try upgrading a simple sentence. Instead of just, being nice is good.
How could you phrase that using value language?
Maybe something like, I believe in treating others with compassion, even when they don't do the same. It adds more depth.
Right. Shows the value behind it. Okay. Challenge 2. Matching.
Let's see. The values are freedom, respect, kindness, ambition.
And the sentences. A, I set big goals and work hard to achieve them. B, I never interrupt when someone is speaking. C, I believe people should live the way they want. D, helping others makes me feel fulfilled.
Okay, listeners, take a moment. Got your matches.
All right, let's see. Freedom, that sounds like C.
Correct. I believe people should live the way they want.
Respect. Matches with B, I never interrupt.
Yep, that fits. Kindness.
Must be D, helping others makes me feel fulfilled.
Right, which leaves ambition matching with A.
I set big goals and work hard to achieve them. Perfect.
So practicing like this can really help cement the vocabulary and phrasing.
Absolutely. Talking about your personal values in English, it really is a powerful skill.
It truly is. It allows you to connect authentically, share your unique perspective,
And understand others better too.
and honestly, the more you practice expressing what's genuinely important to you,
The more confident and fluent you'll become, right?
definitely, when you communicate from your core beliefs, your English just gains real strength and impact.
Well said. So if you found this deep dive helpful, please do like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more English learning insights.
Thanks for tuning in.